of the appeal court in the Northern District of Illinois. So we are awaiting that.
Right.
The documents are in. We know.
So when will the courts make a decision by? Or they're not sort of saying that at the moment?
I'm sure the good thing about the American process is that it is quick, it is fast. Now you cannot stop it like we attempt to do sometimes or stall it. You can't bring technicality to stop it. So we expect that in the next couple of days we should be able to get a position on that.
Okay.
So that all we're asking for, let us see.
Yeah.
And look, I think people should get this. This is not about President TINUBU as a person. This is about a process. Who are we as a nation? What should we be known for? Should we be known as people whose records are shrouded in mystery? Or do we want to say, look, we have a president or we have any public officers, we can say, this is who you are.
I think a lot of people would agree with you. Nevertheless, we have to admit that it's all getting bad-tempered again as the legal wrangle in that U.S. court and later in the Supreme Court seem to be coming to a head. And the fact, of course, ineluctably so, is that you, as the PDP, are happy to use the president's academic record as a political weapon.
Well, I don't know. Number one, clearly know. We are talking about the rights to know. This is not, PDP is not just saying that. Nigerians are saying that.
No, we agree that
people
ought to know.
No.
But it's also working to your advantage politically, isn't
I don't know
it?
about
to try and raise a lot of dust.
Charles, I don't know about raising a lot of dust. Is it a legitimate request? If the answer is yes, then look, do you know we can solve this in 1 second? If the president were to come and say, you know what? Present my details.
Right, but let me
and then this matter will be off by now.
I understand
then
that.
there will be no dust.
Sure, but let me put it another way. Let me put it another way. How much is this U.S. court issue something of a sideshow to the much anticipated judgment of the Supreme Court? Or is it likely to have far-reaching consequences for that apex court in this matter?
For me, as a lawyer, what we're asking for as PDP is less the facts, least to what decision might be. I can't preempt the decision in the U.S. court or the Supreme Court because, again, these are our sub-judice. However, there are rules within the Supreme Court that allows for additional evidence in circumstances that they will consider judicially and judiciously, if it is relevant to the issue, if it is necessary. And above all this, Charles, what is critical is about democracy, is about transparency, is about the right of the public to know, and the night that when you set yourself out as a public officer, then we that have voted, or those who didn't even vote for you, have a right to know. And I don't see a big deal.
No, I totally understand that. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that you as a political party that is in opposition to the president and is an opponent to the president in that political arena, you're trying to muster as much muck as possible so that you make it impossible for the president to find a loophole that'll keep him on as president. Is that a fair assessment? And you're hoping that this Chicago State University affair will become his Achilles heel?
No, Charles, I think you're looking at it from the prism of being personal interest. No.
I know the point you're making, and I have conceded that point. But I'm saying there's an additional point, which it could potentially be politically beneficial to you, and you're pressing that advantage.
We are not pressing any advantage. We're asking for a fair question. That, like I said, this whole thing you call political advantage can stop right now. President TINUBU has the right to stop it now and say, you know what, release it. And if it is released, wherever the facts leads, then we go there. Yeah. If in the course of that, it becomes injurious to him, well, too bad. That will be his own call. We are not seeking for that. We're interested in this country. We want this country to do well. We want to have leadership that can speak for us, and that will not be incumbent and that cannot be blackmailed. That's what we're saying. And I think that's a fair question to ask, what Nigerians are asking for. Indeed, the whole world is watching Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Who are you as a people?
That's a good point.
Are you a country or a nation that conceal information, or are you a nation that is willing to say, here we are, and when mistakes are made, then correct it?
Yeah, but of course, some say that knowing President Tinubu's people, the advice to you and to Mr. Atiku and the PDP is to tread carefully, lest you find landmines in your path that could figuratively blow you all to smithereens. Well, I mean, it's a political war, isn't it?
Sadly, then if that is the dimension, I hate to imagine that is the case, but if that is it, it will be unfortunate for us as a nation. We're not laying landmines. We're saying, keep it open. I don't think there's anything criminal, but saying, let us see what's in there.
But beyond the U.S. court issue...
No, can I just make this point?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
You know, in his book, Viktor Frankl, in Man's Search for Meaning, says, a man who has any reason to stand for can withstand anyhow. What does it mean? And put differently, that he who have a reason to live for can stand anyhow. Atiku Abubakar stands for democracy. Those are the elements of democracy, openness. That's what he's asking for. There are no landmines.
No, I understand that, but it's also his. You could argue that it's his last shot, given his age, given the time lag that's likely to occur if Tinubu emerges triumphant. I mean, it could well be his last throw of the dice.
I like these semantics. It could well be. That's your word. I'm not going to speak for that.
I'm only saying, saying what to many people seems fairly obvious.
Well, fine. Those people are seeing that. I'm not seeing that. We're talking about now.
Sure.
The future take care of itself.
Right.
So I'm not going to sit down here and begin to semant about what could happen tomorrow or next year or 4 years from now. No. For now, what is the expectation of us as a people? What's the expectation of our leadership? The president, if he says, from what I read, he said, look, I'm one of the best, I'm the brightest. I got honors, multiple honors. I'm distinguished.
So you simply want to see the evidence to support that.
Just say so.
Yeah. But beyond the U.S. court issue, do you, as a spokesman for the opposition PDP that's challenging the victory of President Tinubu, do you hold out much hope in the Nigerian Supreme Court, or is that cupboard pretty much bare as far as that goes?
Again, each time, and this is a very, very important question, and it's very important. The challenge of this country today is not so much about the courts. It's about institution. And the institution in this matter is the INEC. INEC has lost so much credibility. We have laws, we have guidelines, we have the electoral act that was celebrated. We were rejoicing. We brought beavers, we brought IRF, we brought procedures. Consistent with that, INEC set of guidelines and rules to follow. And they, either by complicity, by corruption, or by deliberate sabotage, they sabotage that process. And now, the mark of any institution is about the integrity. Today, what is the worth of the word of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu? It's zero in the eye of an ordinary man. And sometimes I try to say, can we challenge Professor Mahmoud, if he's that popular and he believes in himself, to do what I call integrity walk of 100 meters in Abuja, or in Kano, or in Lagos, or in the East, in any of the places where we had the elections? He was an embarrassment, that institution, and I'm sure in his closet, Mahmoud would have wished he did something differently. That's why we have the court being brought into this. Ordinarily, the court should just interpret. But because of this, the court is unwittingly brought into this storm that is unnecessary. So what we should speak as Nigerians to say, you know what? INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu should be held accountable for all the crises, for all the insinuation going into the court. So it's not about, and I won't sit down here to begin to comment on what the Supreme Court may or may not do. I'm a lawyer, I respect that institution.
Yeah, that's perfectly understandable.
We said after the judgment of the Court of Appeal, the tribunal, we said, yes, we reject that decision, we respect it, and completely we reject it because it didn't sound to reason, it didn't, in our own view. And that's why we have, because Atiku Abubakar is a Democrat who follows the rule of law. He's gone to the Supreme Court to ventilate that.
Right.
And we have over 50 grounds of appeal. So we're going to go into that. The outcome will be irrelevant. But leave that information that could be helpful in the course of, that's why we say, let's get the facts. And whatever it is, we'll follow it.
Right.
The consequences is different.
Okay.
But it's the fact that we need to go through it. And
well, we've got about 2 minutes or so left to the end of this very interesting chat. I mean, I could talk with you and listen to you forever.